Okay, here we go again. I'm sorry. If we go again, one way to view it is to shrink it down. That makes it simulate what it might look like on a browser um, and your design. But that's not always the best way. Of course, if I'm working with an app, I would like to look at it on the phone. And there's recording software for your phone too. So as we get a little bit closer, I will talk about that, especially if you're imitating an app and you want to record it to send to somebody or show somebody, hey, this is my interaction with my app. You can do that as well. In this case, though, if you're still doing some research in the browser and you want to simulate the responsive design, and I think last class we were talking about responsive design and how that I'm designing a website, we'll say that we'll have to change the size according to the iPad, phone, or computer. You can do that to simulate that underneath the tools, web developer. There is a responsive design mode right here, at least in Firefox, and of course Chrome has the same things. And in this option right here, it allows you to see, and you can type in what dimension you want. So you can specify the specific sizes. So if you go here, you'll see it's showing you what it would look like on like an old phone, right? 320 by 480 is like an ancient phone. You remember those days when you had what, iPhone 2 or 3 or 4? Like I started with iPhone 4 myself. Before that I had the flip phone. Anybody have a Razor? We had a Razor. Okay, so again, you can select a device here. What size do I want to mimic this on? Okay, you see they're already built in there. So you can choose which one. Which you say, hey, what is this going to look like on my Nexus phone? And they're kind of old, isn't it? Up to Nexus 9 now? The latest one, I think, is Nexus 9. They're a little bit older, but that's okay. You can edit the list. But here you go. Again, that was under responsive design. I have an iPhone, what do I have? I don't even know what I have. I think I have 8. That's not even in here, is there? Well, let's say I have a iPhone 6S. So it'll show you what your page would look like on an iPhone 6S. And you can take a picture as well. See the little phone icon right here? Take a picture of that. Okay, so I still take pictures on my phone though, but again, it's a simulator. It's underneath the responsive design option. Again, we're in Firefox. I don't know where it's in Chrome. Does anybody know where this is in Chrome? I'm sure there's one in Chrome. I tend to use Firefox so much. Developer. No, there's a console. Anybody know where it's at in Chrome? No.
The second, developer tools.
Developer tools? Under developer tools.
Yeah, and then go to that second item.
This one. Oh, there we go.
And then whatever you want, choose on top of the best value. Yeah, on top.
Up here. Oh, okay, there we go. Ooh, 8 plus. There we go. So again, another great way to look at designs in different ways. Chrome as well as on Firefox. You should be looking at them. You're going to have to make these decisions. Anybody making a product today, from a website to an app, you'd be faced with all kinds of different dimensions. Knowing those different dimensions. In fact, we're going to have entire lectures on every one, and hopefully you learn them as well. We're going to have to learn how to make icons that will fit on each one of those different sizes. Some of your assignments, I'm going to ask you to make an assignment where you actually make an icon at all the different sizes. That's going to be a requirement in this class, but you should know, how do I make that icon the right size for which phone? Okay, so those are kind of an idea of some of the things. And this is the reason why. I'm showing you why you need to learn that, because of this. Everybody ready to move on? Think you can do some research for me? Okay, it's not that hard, but you should learn about that, practice it, look at the different there. You should learn how to use the console here so you can change things as we go along. What color you want the background to be? Red? Look at that. So you can change designs in real time with the Google console. Look at that. Hey, what would West Valley look like there? You could change the padding in real time and so on. So, web development class tomorrow, Monday, Wednesday morning. Okay, so learning the console is a good thing. Okay, I'm going to go back to Firefox. Sorry. I love Chrome, but I love Firefox a little better. Again, to turn that off, if you have it on and you're like, I'm done with this, you go back to tools and you just click on it and it'll go away and go back to normal. Okay, so if you're in that mode, just go back to normal. Hey, I'm back to normal browser. Okay, let me get into a little bit more of my computer discussion that I want to do today. And then we will talk about the UX stuff, and then I want you to meet each other the last 10 minutes, talk amongst each other so that you can get to know each other, and then we'll go away for the weekend. Holiday weekend. So today I'm just going to talk about the software briefly. We're just going to have an overview. There. Quit that. Oh, I love my big screen there. Okay, again, mostly in this class we will use some software. You'll do some things by hand as well, drawing and so on. But the main software you should sort of start looking at if you're new to them would be, of course, Photoshop, Illustrator, and Sketch. If I can't see my Sketch icon on here, why is my Sketch icon not on here? Oh. If your Sketch icon is not there, we can put it there. Hopefully it's on this computer. We'll get it on the computer. Here it is. It looks like a diamond, I guess. Is that a diamond? I can click on that if you want to put an. So right down here, I don't see my diamond. If you want to put it in your dock, you can simply click on the application and drag it into the dock where you want, and it'll be there forever. I know some of you down here on Windows, this would be what, the taskbar, right? Taskbar. What's it? Sketch only works on Mac. So you can do similar things in Photoshop and Illustrator, Sketch. But these are the three main software that we'll look at. Let's talk about why we would use one over the other. Of course, I tend to use Illustrator mostly because I'm comfortable with it for making vector graphics or graphics that would be like an icon or a shape that I want to use. So I tend to use that mostly for that. Photoshop I tend to use mostly for photographs. I tend to manipulate my photos. I'm so used to it. I know if you're in a photography department or you're taking a photo class, they use Lightroom. It's perfectly fine to use Lightroom. I'm just not used to it. And then for layout, I tend to use Sketch because it's built in there where you have your pre-made sizes already for you. So when you're designing something, let's say an interface for an app, and you want to see what the interface is going to look on an iPhone 6, iPhone 4, iPhone 10, or X, I guess it's X. It has the screen sizes already for you, and you can redesign your screen to fit those sizes, as well as once you're done using Sketch to do that, you can actually export out of Sketch. And I know we didn't really do that last class, now hopefully we can do that. And when I meant last class, when I say last class, I meant in the spring. Some of you were in the spring class. Hopefully this year we can get to that point where we can actually export out of Sketch right into Xcode. Try and get that. There's a plugin called Zeppelin that makes that process a lot easier. So the reason why people use this in interface design for apps is because it's integrated into either Studio, which is the Android device, or as well as Xcode, which is the app design program for iOS, and they have these plugins and features that allow you to export the code, it does do code, as well as graphics out of the program, so they're ready to go right into the other program. As well as HTML, one of the things about Sketch is it will give you the CSS code. So those of you who were in the web development class who were learning some of the HTML and cascading style sheets is what CSS stands for. It'll actually export that for you as well. What color you used in the program, you can bring that right into your code. So the reason why we use certain programs is, and these do this as well, but not quite as good. This is kind of specialized in that word. Adobe added those features to these, but they're This was made in 1991, right? For photos or digital graphics. What year was Illustrator? Remember I told you the first year I used Illustrator? 1987. I started with the first version. And it's made for vector graphics. You know, it's not made back. So, again, those are the ones. Let's quickly go through them. I'm going to launch them and we're going to talk about them. So, again, I'm recording the screen already, so you can go and watch this again on YouTube when we're done. So, everything that I do, you can go back and watch again. First, let's start with Photoshop. How I use Photoshop and what you should be practicing in Photoshop for this class or any class that you are using. The first thing is, of course, it's made for photo manipulation, but it's also made for designing things. And what I mean by things is screens for web pages, screens for apps, screens for other programs. The most important thing would be underneath File, New. When you go under File, New in Photoshop, it'll give you pre-made sizes. Remember when we were looking at the simulator in Firefox and in Chrome, it showed you different dimensions for different phones and stuff. Well, if you look up here, you'll notice they have Photo 1 for common photo sizes. They have Print 1 for common print sizes, right? And Illustration as well. You know, these are common poster sizes as well. But they also have Web for common web browser sizes. Okay, so you'll see small website, you know, what size is the MacBook Pro? 15, 13, iMac, web, medium, large, and these are like common sizes that would be a screen size, right? So if I'm designing an example for a website, I could choose one of these and put my pieces in there, and hey, it's going to be kind of around the right size, okay? Same with under mobile. You'll notice it has all the screen sizes for the latest, even Apple Watches in there. So if you're making a design for a specific product, that dimension is already there, built into the program under File, New. File, New. So you can choose what you're doing there, whatever one you want. And then, of course, if you're in a film and video, there as well. And these are common dimensions for making graphics for a specific video. Which one do I use today? Is not even here. Oh yeah, here we go. The one I tend to use mostly for video is this one. This is 4K, YouTube 4K. I do most of my video now in 4K. I got a Sony 7R2, I believe it is. I've been shooting for the past almost a year now, all in 4K. Whoosh. Very challenging, but it's very nice. Okay, so again, if you're choosing, let's just choose one for an example today. Let's say I'm designing a screen for an iPhone 6. I can click on that and boom, it should say, oh, here's Create down here. Make sure you're in RGB. Here's the color mode over here as well. If you click on that, you'll notice you have RGB. Oh, it just gives you RGB. It doesn't give you CMYK because I guess we're in mobile. But if you're using the new one, it might change the color mode over here. Just make sure you're in RGB, which stands for what? Red, green, and blue. Should we say it all together? There we go. So again, it gives you a artboard that is a specific size. One of the problems I tend to have with Photoshop now is that as you build and make new things, let's say, oh, here's an iPhone 6. Let me bring up another screen size. So I go under File, New. Let me bring another one up. And I want to bring in, what would be an Android one? I don't even have, do I have Android in here? Oh, they got old Mac stuff. I'll show you how to get, oh, here's a Mac Surface Pro 3. Okay, so now I have two screens open. The problem is they're over top of each other. See that? And that's really bothered me when you know, and I understand why they do that, but it makes a challenge because a lot of times I'm dragging graphics from one screen to the other. And so what I found to do is just kind of pull the screens away by clicking and holding and dragging them around. See that? Now if I drag both of them around, see how I'm just dragging the word up here? Now they're kind of floating. See how they're floating next to each other now? And they're not on top of each other? Now I can, if I have a picture here or some text here and I want to put it on this one, I can click and drag from one to the other. Okay, so that's a common issue. When you first open, again, I can put it back up there. If I click at the top, you'll see how it turns blue. And now it's linked there, and I'm like, where's my other one? Well, it's underneath that one. Oh, I have to go over here to Windows, and then I have to go here, and then I have to try. Oh, now it's floating around. Now it's there. So getting used to how to deal with how the windows move around is a little bit of a challenge at first. And I still struggle with that today, even. It's hard. It's hard to deal because you don't have a lot of real estate here. That's why you ever see designers or game people, people killing demons, right? They like to have 3 monitors going around, right? They have more than one monitor. I got a little laptop. Okay, so keep that in mind as far as moving windows around. So that's a common thing. Now, when we're working in Photoshop or working with Sketch or any of those programs, you don't have to make the artwork. Apple gives it to you. They want you to use common artwork in your designs so that you follow the common standards. And they'll give you that artwork. Okay, so, and I think I've included some links inside of here. Let's just look at that inside of Canvas here. I think I put a link in there. Computer demo for August 30th. That's today, right? Here we are. We're in our computer demo. If I click on there, you'll notice right here towards the bottom, these are words that we have already talked about. Resolution was the size. We looked at that already. CMYK, make sure you're doing RGB for screen. CMYK would be for printing on my printer over there. Size, we talked about that, and we haven't copied and pasted and scaled yet, but I do that pretty much every day, so you're going to have to get used to that. We'll see if we get to that demo. First, what I'm trying to talk about is, when you're designing an interface in Photoshop or even in Illustrator or even in Sketch, you can actually download. So if you click on this link right here, it's going to take you to the Apple Design Resources. And if you scroll on down, you'll notice they have a whole 720 megabytes of pre-made graphics for you to use. So they're common titles that would be used in an app on a phone or on a tablet, common buttons that you would use. And so these are kind of like artwork that's already been made, and then you can copy and paste it into your design and make your design from pre-made, Apple stuff. So right here, they have Sketch as well, and they have Adobe XD. What is XD? It's called Experience Designer. It's a program that you can build interfaces with and then have interactions with to simulate a prototype. You can look at that, but I've been not using it. I've been using Sketch. You can do the same thing in Sketch. So, but they're trying to compete with this. Adobe is. Right? Is that new? This is kind of new. It's been in beta. We used it in beta 2 years ago in class here. It kind of is live now, out of beta. It comes with your suite, and it works great. I like it a lot. It's just for the past 2 years I've been using this a little bit more than that, but they both work fine. Anything is fine. Keynote is used a lot in prototyping because it has lots of really nice animations that work like the Android animations. So imagine that Android is an operating system that's not Apple, but the people who design and simulate prototypes for Android like to use Keynote because Keynote is a very flat design program, and it has these animations for simulations. And I'll show you some videos of how people are using Keynote to make a prototype for Android platform, and that's why it's probably included in here. Well, of course, it's an Apple product, of course, but still. So you can click on and download this, and it'll ask you to save it, and you can save it. One of the downfalls, of course, is that this templates all use, what was the font for Apple? Yeah, last class we said it. San Francisco, your favorite city on the planet, right? Okay, San Francisco is the font, and so the template is all in San Francisco font. So if your computer doesn't have San Francisco font on it, I've also included how you can download the font right here. Here it is, download San Francisco, and then install it on your computer. So you might want to download the San Francisco font, install it on, it's free, you don't have to pay for it. Download it, install it on your computer so you have the San Francisco font. The other font you probably should get over the weekend if you don't have it is Roboto. Use a lot of Roboto myself. Roboto is a really nice font as well. Google put a lot of research and time and effort into Roboto and to make it so that it would work on very small screens. Back when they started making Android, they basically Steve Jobs in 2007 stood up there and showed off this thing that blew everybody away, right? The iPhone. And Google was just like, whoosh, what are we going to do? So they had to quickly come up with an operating system. Of course, they used Java and so on, and then they needed a font that would work on such really small screens, and they came up with Roboto. So Robato's been, both San Francisco, actually San Francisco is actually Helvetica. It's a version of the Helvetica. So again, you can download San Francisco and install that, as well as the resources here, and both of them we will use in class. So someday when you're sitting here before class, make sure you download and install this. I will be demonstrating this stuff. And this, you might have to install it here. I think you have rights to install fonts here on these computers. And this one is just a graphic. So somebody tell me if you could install this font on your computer there. So hopefully it works. If they didn't, they might have put San Francisco already on here. I didn't notice. Here, let's see. Let's see. Did they have San Francisco on here yet? Let's see. I asked them to put it on here years ago. I don't see it. Yeah, here it is. SF Pro. It's already installed on here, so you don't have to do that here at this computer. But you might want to do it on your own computer at your house. Again, San Francisco works on both Windows and Mac. Okay, and same with Roboto. So San Francisco, you don't need that right now. If you ever get confused, I started using the iBar to put some text in here, okay? And now I didn't type in any text, and now it's still flashing there, and I'm like, oh, I'm done with this demo of Photoshop, and I'm going to close it. It starts beeping at you like that, and you're like, what's the magic key on the keyboard? Escape, right? And hit escape as the magic, and then you just say commit text, and then it'll go away. Okay, so if you're ever getting the beepy, beepy, beepy on the computer, just hit escape in the upper left corner. That usually stops it from doing any kind of, it's asking you to do something. You can't see that. Sometimes the window is behind something. Asking you to do something. Escape is usually a good one. Okay, let's look at Illustrator real quick. We're running out of time here. Illustrator is this one. Illustrator is very similar to Photoshop in that if you go under File, New, you also have the same kind of interface where you have the mobile devices. See the mobile, web, print, film and video, art and illustration. So you have the same kind of thing that you have. And then of course you can click on a template and hit create, and it makes you a screen. Okay, so same, very similar, has the right dimension for the specific product that you're designing for. I tend not to use it. What I would do a lot of time is I will use the tools to make something, and then I'll either copy and paste it into Sketch or copy and paste it into Photoshop. When I copy and paste into Photoshop, I usually copy and paste as what's called a smart object. And the advantage of the smart object inside of from Illustrator to Photoshop is that it keeps the original piece of artwork the way you made it inside this program, and so it's different kind of format, and it's a vector format, so you can scale it and do all kinds of things with it, and it keeps it quality the way the quality is you built it here. That's what I'm trying to say. We'll learn about that a little bit later. So again, this program called Illustrator is used to make artwork. I tend to use it to make icons. So if I make a square out there, I can give it a color if I want to do it. And then if I want to make, let's say, what kind of icon am I making? A camera icon. We can put a little camera circle in there. I don't know, something. I don't know. Doesn't matter at this point. I'm just showing you, So there we go. I love this graphic. I want it to be in my app. You can make things like that very quickly in this program. It's made for drawing things. If I want to put that in my app, I can either save it in a specific format. The graphic format we tend to use a lot in this class would be PNG. So let's just go over some of those real quick while we're here. Of course, we all know .jpg. Ooh, that's not J, that looks like a U. Okay, so of course, JPG would be JPEG, right? You probably take pictures of that, right? JPEG. And then, of course, the other one that we use in these are graphic formats is PNG. This is the one I tend to use a lot. It's probably the most universal. And the advantage of using a PNG, it has a transparent area. So you'll notice in this graphic I made up at the top where the circle is next to the rectangle. Everything you save in a computer needs to be in a square. Even if you draw something round, you save it, it saves it square. It's just the way that the computer works. It saves everything in a rectangle. So if I save this graphic up there as a JPEG, the area next to the circle that's kind of open, see right here how it's kind of open here. What I mean by open is if I was going to save this, it would be square. And let me shrink down the artboard for a moment so you'll see what I mean. If I shrink down the artboard, and we'll do this together, you'll learn how to do these things I'm showing you. This is just the first week. If I shrink down the artboard, you'll notice there is white. See the white around the corner? Okay, so everything you save in a computer has to be square. The problem is if I save this as a JPEG in this format, that white is going to be white. JPEG cannot have a transparent area. What do I mean by transparent? Is that white is going to be white, and you can't see through to what's underneath it. Remember the opacity in the words that we're looking at? There's opacity there. There could be. The PNG, though, on the other hand, if you save this graphic, that white will be transparent. You will see through to what's underneath it. So that's why we tend to use this one when we save out of these programs, because we can then take that graphic and put it in our app with no white there, and put it in our website with no white there, and so on. So we tend to use that one more than JPEG. Of course, the Photoshop file is .psd, and we don't, of course, use that in a web page because you can't say, that's not made for a web page and so on. So that has a working file. So this is a working file. This is something you can put on your website and your app, but it doesn't have transparency. This is something you can put on your website and your app, and it does have transparency. And so, and of course, the other one we'll use a lot, of course, is the what is the Acrobat? What am I trying to say? PDF. Acrobat PDF, right? We use that in our app as well. If you remember from app design class, we use PDF for vector graphics in our app. So PDF, very common, PNG, JPEG, and PSD. So those are the common ones that I would save out of these programs. So these are the ones that, again, you could see these formats like if I am here inside of Illustrator. If I want to save this as a PNG, I go under File, Export, Export for Screens, right here. And it will give me the format, see PNG right here. And of course, if you remember from last class, it automatically saves in the format for the different sizes. Remember I talked about how graphics need to be different sizes for different phones, right? Remember Android, and then you have different sizes for Apple. Apple has 3 different sizes. Android has 5 different sizes. And they actually save it the right dimension for you and name it properly for you. So these programs are smart, if that's smart. Here, look at Android. 5 different sizes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, even more. Yeah, they do have more. Look at that. iOS has 3. Why would Android have more? Well, there's many different more manufacturers, right? You have all these different people making different phones and things like that, where Apple has them. And of course, why is there different sizes? Well, old iPhones, new ones. What was the 3? I think it was the iPhone 7 or 8. And this is 6, 5, 4. This might be 4 too. On the Apple website, you can see which size goes with which. So again, Illustrator we'll use a lot for making graphics for an interface. Again, though, I tend to use a lot of the pre-made graphics as well. I will show you where there's a lot of templates, and those templates are kind of pre-made, common graphics for platforms. And then, of course, the last program we'll go real quick here. It would be Sketch. There's a new version. It'd be nice if I can install. I don't know if I have the rights to install it right now. I'm going to skip. I'm going to remind me later. There we go. So inside of Sketch is another program that's very useful. You could just choose a template right here. It has a screen right there. You can go underneath the new templates right here, and you'll notice inside of Sketch they have Android icon, iOS app icon. Material design is built right in. Remember we talked about Android and the way the Android works. Material design built right in. Photo or prototyping tutorial, web design. So it has some pre-made sizes as well in this program. You can choose one that you want. Let's say I'm making a website. I can choose web design, and it's going to give you specific sizes, as well as it can give you different tablet, mobile, and so on. And I can scroll around. You can see over here as well. Whenever you're working, they also have symbols in this program in a library. And then you'll notice they're built in right here. So as you're working, remember I talked about how you can open and download the stuff from the Apple website? Well, this program has it kind of built in already. And they're called symbols, and it's just like an area. Symbols would be a place where little artwork's already stored. You can choose it and then just drag it out onto your screen. So a lot of things you don't need to make yourself, right? You want to use the common interface elements from the different platforms so that you can make your own designs using the common elements, and they encourage you to use them because they want, when you're using an Apple app, it should look like an Apple app, right? You're using material design, it kind of should look like an Android design. So they have pre-made things already for you in there. And we will be using some of the pre-made stuff as well. Any questions about that? So that's a lot of things that you can start looking at. You should download again over the weekend the San Francisco font. If you don't have that, download the Roboto if you don't have that. They're both really good fonts to be using and prototyping with. And same with the different software. If you don't have Sketch, it's okay. You know, it's not unnecessary. You can do everything in Photoshop and Illustrator and things like that. So I would say the yeah.
Can I get Photoshop through Canvas? Or not on my computer right now?
No, I understand that. No, you can buy it for $20 a month. Was it? Were you here last class when I demonstrated where to get it? Okay, so you can, yeah. The school doesn't. They provide the work for you if you want Office 365. But they don't. We do have a library that has all the software on that you have here. So I think I mentioned it. Did I mention that? And the tutor. Did I mention the tutor? Okay. Grace is over at the library. As well as in the library, they have computers like this with all the software on it. If you want to buy Adobe, again, you can go to the Adobe website. And there should be student pricing somewhere. There it is. And then and what was it? $20 a month, was it? something like that. Yeah. $155 a year. That's about $20 a month, I think it was, wasn't it, or something like that for students. So, here's student teacher, $20 a month. I don't know what to tell you. If you're probably, if you're gonna learn design and things, you probably should have the Adobe Suite and pretty much use it for everything.
I'll need to have it on my computer in order to get to the test.
No, you can do the things in here. Like I said, Gene will be in here next, so you can stay here and work if Gene doesn't mind. And then you go to library.
What's the difference between doing a subscription and buying the software?
They won't let you buy the software outright. You have to do a subscription. Every company's going with subscription. And if you haven't heard, AutoCAD or Autodesk is going to subscription only now, which is a big change for them. And in fact, their stock went up. I was watching one of the Bloomberg TVs or something like that. And they're like, Autodesk stock just rose by 20%. And the reason why Autodesk stock went up by whatever, I don't know what it was, 5% or so, was because they're going to subscription. Because most people who are buying AutoCAD and all those other 3D software for landscaping, architecture, and stuff used to buy a license and put it on their computer. But Autodesk is going to strictly subscription. It's like that. Everybody's going subscription. If you get this, you can put it on 2 computers. I have it on my desktop and laptop. Actually, I have it on 2 laptops. I don't even use a desktop anymore, barely. Yes?
What's the difference between the student's version versus the regular version? Is there any feature that I can't functionality that I can't use?
No. The student version should be full working version. The only difference is you're not supposed to be using it for money, business, right? Your student version is for you to be a student and learn with, and then once you go out and start your own business, you should be using a professional version or money version.
So you said there's 2 licenses?
You
This one purchase?
you can put it on 2 computers.
The one at Mac and the one.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what computers you put them on. You can use it two computers. I have it on Windows and Mac as well. I let my wife use it on her computer. My son has Windows too. We all share. And what I do in my house is if we run out of license, we have to log out of one and log into another one. Like my son has a Windows computer. I have 2 sons, my wife and me, and my son has his own version, one son. But my other son doesn't have his version, and my wife doesn't have her own version, and I have one version. So we have 3 computers where we try to use the Adobe, and sometimes we have to log out of one, right, and then log into another one. So you can install it on any computer you want. You just need to be logged in to your account when you're using it. So it kind of just depends. You might have to log out of one computer and log in another. Okay, don't quote me on that though. I don't want to be. No, I guess you can. It's legal to do that. Okay, let me stop my screen recording now.